Get ready to take a flamethrower to the official narrative and learn what the elites don't want you to know. You're listening to The Tom Woods Show.
Hey everybody, Tom Woods here. It is episode 2567 of The Tom Woods Show. You may notice that I don't have my normal background with all the books that make me look smart. I have, as my guest Marc Lobliner puts it, I've got 1970s drapes behind me because I'm in a New Orleans hotel this week as I record. But I'm delighted to welcome Marc to the show for the first time ever. He is a professional bodybuilder as well as chief marketing officer at tigerfitness.com and some other things that I want to talk about.
A lot of other things, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's so much to talk about with you. I saw that you did an episode on Real Talk with Zuby, who's been a guest on the Tom Woods Show. And I took a look at that and I thought, now this sounds like an interesting guy. So then I clicked through to your profile on X. I think
don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, first of all, I have been fighting this rearguard action, attempting to continue to call it Twitter against all odds, hoping that Elon, the one bad decision he ever made was that name change. But he's not listening to me. He's sticking with X, so I may have to just finally surrender on that front.
I don't think he's going to listen to you. I don't think he will.
I don't. It's a shame. It's a shame. If he ever comes on the Tom Woods Show, we'll hash this out. But I clicked through and I saw that you were following me already. So I thought, well, if he's following me already, that's 50% of the battle, getting the guy on the show. So then I wrote to you and here we are. So there are a lot of things we can talk about because politics, I think you and I see the world very similarly, but you're in a world that I am obviously not in. I have had, and I was going to ask you about him before we went on because I don't want to start any controversies, but I have had Marc Ripito on the show. Does that name ring a bell to you?
Oh, yeah, of course. Starting Strength, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I know exactly who he is.
Okay, so you're not in any blood feud with him or anything?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't, again, there are so many philosophies that work, and his philosophy will work up to a point. But I'm a nuanced guy where I use many different methodologies as a coach. So his is great. It's called Starting Strength, and that's what it's really good for. We don't see eye to eye on deadlifts versus hex bar deadlifts. There's a couple other things. But at the end of the day, if you're promoting people using resistance training to better their lives and improve their quality of life and live longer, then I am in your corner. I am your fan, and I will work side by side with you to help spread the word of the benefits that resistance training can do for the world.
Well, what I want to talk about with you are subjects that I think are of general interest to my audience, because no doubt I have bodybuilders in the audience, but more generally, we are interested in health. We're interested in some of the things we've been told about health that turned out to be wrong. In fact, one thing I liked about your interview with Zuby was he pointed out that a lot of people have this stereotype of bodybuilders that they're just slow and dumb and weird, sophisticated and smart. But the sophisticated and smart people have been telling us, eat 11 bowls of cereal every day. And, bodybuilders knew that was stupid.
I just actually did an article and a video that weightlifting and exercise in general actually increases your cognitive ability. So it makes your brain work better. If you've ever seen a brain scan before you go on a walk, let's say you're sitting at a desk, actually doing activity with your brain, and then you go on a walk. At the beginning, your brain is literally gray. At the end of the walk, it's lit up with all these colors, meaning your neurons are firing. Also, exercise is the only thing we can do that literally the first time you do it, it increases the neurons in your brain. So we know that exercise makes you smarter and being fat makes you stupider. And those are scientifically backed statements.
When you say things like that, I want to dig into how you got to be the guy you are. Because what I want to know is how you got into, what drew you into not just being physically fit, but being a bodybuilder. And then I want to talk about your companies and what problems you're solving with them.
So I grew up in a weird household. Mom's a drug addict. Dad had type 2 diabetes. So I got to see both ends of the spectrum. I got to see what addiction could do to people. And I also got to see what diabetes and metabolic syndrome could do to people. My father passed away. My mother is currently in let's call it a mental institution type place for older people, right? So obviously addiction got the best of her. And with my father, he died from complications from type 2 diabetes. So I got to see the world through that lens. Now, while I was going through all this, trying to survive in the streets, doing all I could, I actually found sports. And I really excelled at football. And through football, I found weights. And I could go into the gym and change my body. And I always felt better. So no matter what was going on, whether my dad had a stroke, whether my mom was committed to a hospital, I would be able to escape that. And it allowed me to use that and play football to get out of my situation, to go to college, to have college paid for, to be able to graduate, to be able to move on to the next level. And for me, weightlifting and sports, and I always say this on X, youth sports can save the world because the lessons you learn from athletics. And in my household, I had one rule for my kids. You have to play a team sport and you have to do a combat sport. So all of my kids started out with soccer and boxing because I was a boxer for 7 years. But now I have my daughter graduated high school. She's just going to school now. She quit playing soccer. She boxed as well. My 16-year-old's a wrestler. He's doing fantastic on the national circuit. And my 11-year-old plays football and he wrestles. So with sport, we could do a lot of things. And through that, I started my career at a place called Weider Publications, which at the time published Muscle and Fitness, Flex, Muscle Fitness, Hers, and Men's Fitness. And I started my career there in advertising sales. And they were acquired by, AMI, American Media, which is the Inquirer, the Star, Mira en Español, Country Weekly. And from there, I was able to work in corporate America, and I was handling super huge accounts. By the age of 22 years old, I had a whole department underneath me, and I was managing over $100 million in business. So it was quite an awesome start to my career. But through what I did there, at 24 years old, I decided to start my own business. And that was my first supplement company. And I sold that in 2011. And then I started what I have now. So that's kind of the elevator pitch of what I've done.
All right. So I do want to talk about Tiger Fitness. But before that, you mentioned supplements. Now, this seems like a minefield for people to navigate because...
Oh, yeah, it is.
Because, you don't know with some of them if they work, and then the FDA is sketchy on it, but I'm kind of sketchy about the FDA. So I don't know who's right, who's wrong. And then I'm pretty sure I heard an anecdote about a room full of, I don't know if it was physicians or what, but they were asked, do you think supplements work? And they all said no. And then they said, how many of you are using supplements? And it was almost all of them.
Oh my goodness.
So there was a kind of now what's that expression for when you have two things in your head simultaneously that can't be done?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Jenna?
Like an
cognitive dissonance. My wife in the background.
There you go.
That's what I'm looking at.
I was thinking oxymoron for some reason, but cognitive dissonance
it's in the same general ballpark. So what I want to know is I guess two things. First, let's talk about how do you know these things work?
Well, you know how they work due to human data. Like the same way you find out things work. And people always make this argument that the industry is not regulated. It is regulated. People just don't follow the rules. And I'm going to argue that'll piss a lot of people off. I like the FDA. I work with the FDA every single day of the week to make sure that we're compliant, to make sure that we do everything correctly. So they are an oversight committee. Do I think they should be involved as much as they are? Political opinion aside, there are rules in place right now that if you buy from companies that follow the rules, that are, produced in a good manufacturing processes lab, they get tested going in and coming out, you are getting quality supplements, meaning that what's on the label is in the product. And what's in the product, the claims on that product are validated by science. So that's how we have to do it. Every single claim is validated. Like every claim I make, like let's say this is my plant protein, Ambrosia planta, right? Every single thing on here is validated, is backed up, or else we're going to face class action suits. We're going to face FTC lawsuits. So it's all in place. Now, what supplements work? With my brands, I like to sell things that are backed by science. For example, creatine. Creatine has not only been demonstrated in thousands, more studies than anything other than caffeine to be effective, but also now it has applications for Alzheimer's, has applications for cognitive function, applications for longevity. So there is plenty of data out there, and it's coming out every single day. New data, new data, new data. So my thing is, there are scammers out there. There are unscrupulous people, and unfortunately, they exist in my world as well.
So talk to me then about, imagine two different people. One actually wants to be a bodybuilder, and the other one just wants to go to the gym to maintain his overall health and maybe contribute to his longevity, but has no ambitions beyond that. Is there a different, I presume the answer is yes, supplement regimen you would recommend for each of those?
No. See, competitive bodybuilding, natural or enhanced, meaning steroids or no steroids, it's all unhealthy. Getting to that level of body fat is not healthy. However, gaining muscle has actually been shown in data, in current data, to be as important, if not more important, than cardiovascular fitness in living longer. In fact, the grip test has been shown to be as great of a predicator on death, on morbidity risk, as cardiovascular health. That's crazy. That sounds insane, but the data is
tell me what that is.
So basically, if you look at what kills people, why they die, a lot of it has to do with muscle wasting, aka sarcopenia. A lot of people fall, they break their hip, they can't move. A lot of people are dying from obesity-related diseases. In fact, obesity is the number one comorbidity of everything, every cause of death. Obesity is a huge factor. So if you take strength as a correlative term, strength is going to be indicative of your fitness, of your overall health. Because if you have a strong grip, which is the easiest way to measure overall strength, that means that you're probably doing some stuff where you're holding weights, you might be gardening, you might be doing things that are hard. So what we found is that obviously heart health is great, right? But if you're looking at predicting how long someone's going to live, muscle mass and strength are great predictors of that. I will say, bodybuilding as a sport, to get to that extreme level, is not healthy. It's not going to be healthy. But staying at a lower body fat percentage, weight training with resistance, whether it's bands, body weight, or actual weights, 2 to 3 times a week, cardiovascular activity every single day, do something active, go on a walk, whatever it is, something to do with balance, movement. Balance also, you look at balance. Old people fall, and people don't realize how many times that fall inevitably leads to them dying. So by factoring all these things in, we can predict how long someone's going to live. Of course, that doesn't count like if you have a congenitive heart issue, right? But generally speaking, the more muscle mass you retain and the stronger you stay, the longer you'll live.
Hey, everybody, if you're like me, and I rather suspect you are, next to your bed, there is a tall stack of books that is only getting taller. You're buying them faster than you're reading them. So what do we do about this? Well, one thing we can do is use the Blinkist app, which takes thousands of nonfiction books in 27 different categories and takes all the fluff out of them. It gives you just the key takeaways that you can consume in 15 minutes of reading or listening. What a time to be alive. So if you have a half-hour commute 2 ways, you can consume the equivalent of 4 books. Right? You're not even going to be able to fit your brain in the car anymore after a while. And among the thousands and thousands of titles you'll find at Blinkist, you'll see in there libertarian classics from Murray Rothbard, Milton Friedman, even a title from Old Woods here. Well, right now, Blinkist has a special offer just for our audience. Go to Blinkist.com/woods to start your free 7-day trial and get 40% off a Blinkist premium membership. That's Blinkist, spelled Blinkist. Blinkist.com/woods to get 40% off and a 7-day free trial. Blinkist.com/woods. And now for a limited time, you can even use Blinkist Connect to share your premium account. You'll get 2 premium subscriptions for the price of 1. So what would you say then to somebody who says, as long as I eat good, real foods and not Cheez-Its all day, but I'm eating a variety of foods and they're of good quality, then I should be getting all the nutrients that, the universe wants me to have. Why do I need supplements?
Well, so here's the thing. It comes down to an insurance policy. There's no one in this world who eats perfect. Also, we know, and we learned this during, can I say the C word? We learned this during COVID, that certain nutrients have a great impact. We found during the pandemic, and there's data to back it up now, you have things like quercetin, zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D. We use a supplement in one of our products called Imulina, which is from spirulina. It's a super duper way to improve your actual resistance to viruses, right? So we learned during COVID that if you take these, I call them viral defense. If you take these things, that they will prevent viral replication. You cannot get that bolus from eating food. And also, different people eat different foods. Different people enjoy different foods. I know even with my eating, which is as perfect as a human can be, basically, I still do not get enough color in my diet. I still do not cover all those nutrients. So I have a multivitamin pack called Immortal that actually has a lot of things that I might not get from my diet. So we look at it as fortification, right? If you can spend $1 to $3 a day on vitamins, supplements, and whatever, and you know that it's going to improve these things. We also have supplements like nattokinase, which is something that prevents blood clots, which a lot of people got after the virus, after the shot. So we know that we have these natural alternatives to prescription drugs that can actually prevent, and there's human data on these things, actually lowering your cholesterol, improving lipid profile. For example, citrus bergamot has been shown to raise your HDL and lower your LDL. Something as simple as niacin raises your HDL. So if we can knowingly, based on human data, improve our blood markers, improve our measurements of health, and ensure ourselves a wide variety of nutrients to help us live longer and live better, why wouldn't we take advantage of that?
Do you have a critique of the traditional food pyramid that we learned in elementary school?
Well, so there's a big conspiracy, and it actually has some valid backing, right? That food pyramid was influenced by the sugar industry, the sugar lobbyists. I'm not going to go there, but I will say that we have learned a lot since 1970. So in the 70s, we thought that too much protein would destroy your kidneys. We have data, and there's a guy you should have on, Dr. Jose Antonio. He is the CEO of the ISSN, that's the International Society of Sport Nutrition. I was actually, I believe, their first sponsor back in 2004. So what we found is that unless you have some kind of weird, rare kidney disease, protein is very healthy. So we've learned that you make protein the cornerstone of every meal. We also know that healthy fats are very good for you. But we also know that carbohydrate can be full of nutrients. So I like to build my meal around protein, fat, and then top it off with carbohydrate. Because there are two essential nutrients, essential fatty acids and essential amino acids, AKA protein. There is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. However, your body loves glucose as fuel. If you're training hard, I personally love having carbohydrate in my diet, but you do not need carbohydrate to survive. So we have learned so much since 1970. So I'm not going to be one of those guys saying that the lobby this, lobby that. That could have happened. I don't know. I wasn't there. What I do know is based on current data that the food pyramid that the FDA came out with back then is antiquated and needs to be flipped upside down.
So let me get back to my other question about supplements then. You sell them. So,
yes,
you presumably have an opinion about them.
Well,
a guy like me,
opinion, but I'm very nuanced. So
okay, well, I'm 52.
Yep.
I get to the gym on a regular basis. I don't do the cardio that maybe I ought to, but I would take more walks if I didn't live in a godforsaken part of the country where it's 95 degrees 8 months out of the year. I
live in Tennessee. I don't know what you're talking about. It's gorgeous out here all the time, man.
It is inhuman in Central Florida.
Well, man, hey, move out to Brentwood, Tennessee, man. It's beautiful.
I plan to, when my youngest child graduate, I still have one who's in school for another
There's a house for sale right across the street. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, no, really. I'm planning to get out of here. I have already got my escape
together. It'll
plan.
Be great.
Yeah. But, okay. So what do you think I should do? What a guy like me, what should I be doing every day in terms of supplements?
Well, supplements, I have a cornerstone of things I recommend. And it varies per individual, but there's certain things, especially for aging people. There's a product I have called Ambrosia Nectar, which is fantastic. We have it at tigerfitness.com. Everything here can be found there, and not a sales pitch, just telling you where to get it. So it has ingredients in there that have human data on it supporting lung, heart, kidney, and liver health. So that is something we need to take care of. And for me personally, I always had high bilirubin counts since I was a teenager. Don't know why. My blood work is always perfect. No matter what competition I've done, no matter what I've done, that is a great one. Immortal's a vitamin pack I make. It looks like this. It just has all the vitamins you need. It's pretty cool. Creatine. Everyone should take creatine. Children, adults, obviously talk to your doctor with all this stuff, right? Elderly, creatine's ability to not only help with muscle, but also with cognitive function. And also, it's just a combination of 3 amino acids, and it's naturally found in foods you eat, like beef. So creatine is very healthy. That would be my cornerstone of what I take. That's what I travel with all the time. If you're someone who, let's say, has a predisposition for heart issues, maybe HDL, LDL, there's a supplement I don't even sell that you're going to have to go to Amazon to buy. That's called nattokinase. Nattokinase is insane in that it helps you to it's measured in FUs, which I can't pronounce what FUs stand for, but that's basically your body's ability to break up blood clots. So it not only prevents blood clots, which kill a lot of people, but it also helps your HDL, LDL, and overall heart health. For that, I recommend 10,000 FUs per day. Not the normal FU. I wasn't being mean. I wasn't cursing you out.
No. That's okay. Wouldn't be the first time somebody said that.
Yeah, I figured that.
Show. So what is it? That's another thing from your Zuby interview that I found interesting. Somebody would look at a guy who looks like you and say, he must be in the gym 4 or 5 hours a day. And you and Zuby were laughing about that. Like, what would I even do for 4 hours in the gym? What I want to do is when I'm in the gym, I am indeed going to work intensely. But the amount of time is not the issue. It's what I do with the time. But all the same, I think there are a lot of men who look at a guy like you and say, what on God's green earth are you doing to look like that?
Yeah, I train 4 days a week with weights. Generally about 45 to 60 minutes, but it's all about intensity. So the thing about weight training is people don't train hard. You go to the gym, they're on their phone, they're doing this. So you only need 1 to 2 sets per body part per workout, right? So let's say you go to the gym, you want to get about 4 to 5 sets per body part per week. So whether you do that in 1 day, in 2 days, in 3 days, that's what you want to do. So your first set, if you're going hard, I'm talking 1 rep in reserve, meaning you could get 1 more if you really tried and you train really hard. That first set, you're getting maximal fiber recruitment of your muscles. The second set is about 50% of that. The third set is 50% of that, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people go in there and they do all these sets. But really, based on the current data, and again, this can all change based on data, right? But this is what I've found. You take 1 to 2 sets. You obviously warm up. I don't want you just going in and maxing out, right? You get your warm-ups in, maybe 3 to 4 warm-up sets. Then you do 1 to 2 all-out sets with as much weight as you can move for about 4 to 8 reps. And then you're done. Then you move on to the next exercise. So a lot of people go in there and they're just moving around doing this. But if your goal is hypertrophy, it's pretty simple. Obviously, this doesn't ring true for a lot of athletes I train, where we have to train them to perform. But if your goal is to live longer, to build muscle, and to become stronger, I believe that's the easiest way. And also, you're in and out of the gym. You got 3 to 4 days a week, less than an hour, and you're maximizing your hypertrophy. And that's what I'm looking at. How do I get someone who's very busy like me? I'm running multiple brands. I have kids. I coach. I own a youth performance facility called Legacy of Carbon in Franklin, Tennessee. So I coach multiple teams. I coach my kids' team who's going to the championship on Saturday. Hopefully we win. So I don't have time for that. I don't have time for myself. So I have an hour a day to get in as much as possible. And I'm as efficient as possible. And thankfully, science has progressed where we know what we can do to maximize that 4 hours a week. Are you telling me people don't have 4 hours a week? Come on. People watch so much TV. The average American watches 3 hours of TV a night. Come on. Get to the gym.
Yeah, I hear you. I totally hear you, especially because if for no other reason, now this might, see, when you're 23, you never think about being 73. You know, that seems like an impossibly long time away. Maybe it'll never happen. That's the way you think. You can't imagine yourself at 73.
Yeah.
But when you are 73, you don't want to be helped on and off the toilet.
No, unless it's a hot nurse, then I'm okay with it. But I mean, I turned 44.
I don't want to be a burden on people.
Yeah, I turned
that's
44
one motivating factor.
Yeah, I turned 44 this month. I've never felt better. I've never had more energy. But I wish I knew in my teens what I know now. The way my children have it, the way they're being raised, how they eat, how they exercise, how they think, how their mind works, my life would be so much better. Because in my 30s, I had to play catch up. And I haven't missed a workout since I was 13 years old. Okay. But we have learned so much in the past 2 decades on how to maximize life that my children, they're going to have such amazing lives because they're doing everything right. Like my daughter, she's at the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. She's crushing it. She's won state titles as a soccer player. I want to educate and tell as many people as possible, because imagine how amazing this world would be if everybody was as productive as me. And I'm not saying that to brag, but I always tell people, I wish you could live one day in my body. It's pretty fucking awesome. Like, I get so much done during the day and I never get tired, but when I lay down to go to sleep, I fall asleep like that. I have maximized every part of my life, and my marriage is better for it. As a parent, I have no issues. I never get angry. People always accuse me of roid rage. I'm the happiest guy you'll ever meet. I'm just fired up. I'm passionate. Okay. There's a difference between being angry and being passionate, but I have so much energy that I'm able to exude this passion to people. So I just want people to live healthy, to maximize their lives. And that gives them more time to devote to building their community, to building their state, to building their country, to make it a better place.
Hey everybody, let's take a minute to thank our sponsor, Persist SEO. If you're getting buried by your competition online, then build your brand, your reputation, and your lead flow with digital marketing by Persist SEO. If you're a small local business trying to compete against large companies in the service industry, then increase your visibility with Persist SEO. What if you have low or no leads coming in on a consistent basis? Well, then website search engine and conversion optimization can help move the needle to a more prosperous business model for you. Are you tired of cold calling and networking? Use your website as a lead generation engine. What if you're not showing up for your services in the search engines? Well, get found with Persist SEO Expert Search Engine Optimization. All you have to do is call 770-580-3736 or visit them at ineedseo.help for a free website audit and consultation. That's 770-580-3736 or ineedseo.help. I remember when I was younger, I thought that by the time I got to 52, I would be in advanced state of decrepitude, things not working anymore. But it's not been that way at all. I mean, I feel better than ever. I have plenty of energy. I do an awful lot. I'm very productive during the day. I produce a lot of output. But as you say, at the end, I got my wife over here because we're in a hotel. She's sitting here listening to this, and she can attest that pretty much when my head hits the pillow, it's just out, just like that.
That's a beautiful
place
thing
to be.
That is a beautiful thing. Sleep. That's another thing. Did you know the American Heart Association now considers lack of sleep as a major predicator for heart disease? Sleep is so important. So the ability to put your head down and fall asleep and stay asleep and get that REM sleep, it helps everything from heart rate variability, which is very important, HRV, to your recovery, to your ability to think, to your brain's ability to retain memory and function. There is so much so much that we need to think about. Sleep is so important. When I was young, I didn't sleep enough. I actually went to the emergency room twice because I was exhausted from exhaustion because I was building my businesses.
Yeah.
But did I need to do that? Maybe, right? Like, I don't know if I'd be standing where I am now if I didn't do that. But I think I could have been better at taking care of myself. But I was so driven because when you grow up in a situation like me, where you're constantly dealing with drugs and you're constantly dealing with health issues and you're raising yourself because your dad is in the hospital and your mom's in the mental ward, you have to figure it out. And so for me, I was so scared of not succeeding and being poor that all I did was work. And it almost destroyed my marriage. It did a lot of bad things. Luckily, I'm married to my high school sweetheart. She was the captain of the cheerleading team. I was the captain of the football team. Like, we have a fairy tale marriage right now. But to get here took a lot of work and took a lot of patience on her part. I'm really glad she's still here because she is everything. She is my life. I like when people say, well, you're a simp for your wife. I'm like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to be. That is my wife. I will fight and die for her. Like, she's everything. If it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. Period. Meaning I wouldn't be successful. I think she is the key component to everything that's happened to me.
Well, I'm very much in agreement on that front, but also
you have to be. She's right there.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. You can't, because this is a unidirectional microphone. You can't pick up on her laughing, but she did laugh at that. But
it's true.
But I also identify on that sleep thing. I think when you're young and you're entrepreneurial and you have a lot of ambitions, you look at that 8-hour block of inactivity and you think, that's where I'm going to carve out some extra time. And as you say, in the short run, you can get a little extra done if you do that to yourself. I wrote a book in a month of one time. I wrote a whole book in a month, and it was a book that opened doors for me. Like, so I can't reproach myself too much for really killing it in that particular month. But now that I've come to understand, especially partly because of her, because she's always reading books because she wants me to live to be 100. And so she's telling me you cannot understate or overstate the value of a good night's sleep. And now I realize how short-sighted it is to try to squeeze out that extra hour from my sleep. If I want to squeeze out an extra hour, find unproductive activities I'm doing during the day, but don't take it away from the sleep.
We waste a lot of time. I waste a lot of time. But I'm in a position in life where I can afford a little bit of time waste, like whatever. But there's a difference when you're working to succeed and when you're working to survive. Right? Like that was always the most dangerous. Like, you ever think of the most dangerous football games? It's when you're playing a team who has nothing to lose. The underdog wants to beat the team that's favored. Those are the ones I'm scared of. You play a team who hasn't won a game all year. You're undefeated. That team has nothing to lose. They're throwing everything at you. So I always try to approach life as the underdog. And I've always been the underdog, so it kind of fits. So I'm always in fear of failure. And that's what drives me every single day. And you're going to fail. Like, life is going to be full of failures. It just is what it is. The question is, do you win the war, right? You're going to lose a couple battles, but do you win the war? And that's why you just have to keep working every day, and every setback, you just take it on the chin and move on.
Let's talk about your entrepreneurial ventures, because the easiest thing in the world would be, let's say, to have a career as a personal trainer. There's nothing wrong with that, and you can make a decent living. What do you say? I
don't know. It's really hard. It's really hard to make money as a trainer.
Well, that's what I mean.
If you're not working, you're not getting paid. Like, you have to work.
When I say easy, I mean, like, it doesn't involve doing something bold like creating a business. See, like, you know what you're going to do every day. And if you have clients, you can make it work. But there's a limit on how much you can earn anyway, because it's your personal time and there's only one of you.
It's hard to scale. Very hard to scale.
Right. So it's you can't scale that after a certain point. But some people, myself included for a long time, just don't want the uncertainty. At least you have some kind of certainty.
Yes.
The uncertainty of starting something brand new. So what drove you to do that? And what do you feel like your businesses bring to the table that's unique?
So I worked in corporate America till I was 24 and I thrived. Like I was making so much money at 22, 23 years old that it's almost inconceivable what I was making because I was able to manipulate corporate America. And I say that in a non like malicious way, but I was able to play the game and I loved it. It was competitive. It was cutthroat. And I was at American Media. David Pecker was the CEO. Like it was a cutthroat business. David Pecker was such a prick and I loved it. Like he would go into meetings and straight up call people fat. Like he was crazy. He was like Donald Trump, but meaner, like that kind of boss. It was insane. So I was able to thrive in that workplace. So I could have probably done really well in corporate America. But when I was 24 and an opportunity to start a business with Sylvester Stallone, he launched a supplement company called InStone. They brought me on as a founding partner and we launched that brand. Long story short, the CEO didn't like me. He fired me. But after that, I was like, you know what? I want to do something to help society. I really did. So I actually started looking into being a police officer because for me, it was all about what can I do to make the world a better place? And I mean that, I'm not bullshitting you. And my wife comes from a family of cops and she's like, you are not going to be a cop. And I'm like, all right. Well, at that time, my wife was making good money. She stopped working to raise children, her choice. I was against it for the record. I'm very glad she did it. But she was very successful, 23 years old. She's a marketing director. She's crushing it. So I'm like, you know what? We can live off of your salary. I'm going to start a business. And we did it. And we worked our ass off. We sat at our kitchen table, mailing out samples to people and started on a shoestring budget. And I sold that company in 2011 and then started my new brands. So the reason I started a business is because I felt that no matter what I did in corporate America, it would always restrain my brain. And I always feel that I can do more good for the country, whether that's employing people, whether that's helping people. And what my companies offer are solutions, right? For example, tigerfitness.com, a lot of people order from Amazon. We give you an opportunity to order from a local, basically a family-owned business. Myself, my partner, Chad Vordameshi, we've been working together since 2011. We were good friends since before then. So everything we do is supporting a local, we're based in Lobliner, Ohio, right outside of Cincinnati. And you're supporting local business, but also the supplements we offer are for me. And I made my name in this industry by lab testing products, by being true to label, and by basically giving you quality products that you can trust. And then another brand of mine, Ambrosia, which is phenomenal. We actually were majority acquired in 2022. But we have the best partners in the world. And we're able to make products like Nectar that are completely transforming people's life. And we actually revolutionized the plant protein industry with Planta, which, I mean, I could talk about it for days. I know it's not a sales pitch, but basically everything we do, we build it to be the best and to actually help people. And that's where I think we differentiate ourselves is we're actually after solutions, not just a dollar. We would have made much more money if we went for that whole just marketing brand thing, right?
What would you say if you had to tell people what kind of learning experience you had in the process of starting a business or mistakes you would urge people to avoid? Do you have any?
Yes. Hopefully, if you're married, you have a very understanding wife. And if you think you're not working for anybody, you're wrong. You are so wrong. You are working for your customer and you're working for the government who's going to take 37% off the top from everything you make. So you're going to deal with lawsuits. You got to budget 10% of your income towards lawsuits, frivolous lawsuits from the state of California.
That's crazy.
Oh my God, it's terrible. I've been sued. In my career, I've been sued over 100 times.
That's unbelievable. Most people, it's zero.
I usually have 2 or 3 going on at a time.
What is the explanation for this?
I got sued once, and we actually countersued and won for emails. This company claimed that they owned business emails. I shit you not. That if you email to a mailing list, that they own that patent. And our attorney's like, well, we could settle for 10 grand. We could fight it for 15.
Everybody emails commercial emails to people. Everybody. Why would they pick on you?
Because they can, because it costs so much to fight it that it's cheaper to settle. So if I know that my legal fees are going to be $20K, they offer to settle for $10K. And they're doing it all on, it's the lawyers following the suit. What they do is they find one person to claim something bad happened to them. And next thing you know, you have a class action lawsuit from the state of California. It's always California. Prop 65, all those things. Like those are things that California put into place because the lawyer lobbying group is so big that if
wait
you
a minute,
do
Marc.
business in the state of California, you're in for a world of hurt.
Okay, but so my question is the business that you do in California so lucrative that it's worth exposing yourself to this, or have you considered just not selling in California?
It is the 5th largest economy, and we would have to cut off Amazon and a lot of other business. And also,
then forget it.
One of my Ambrosia, our headquarters is in California. So, I mean, it is the California. People don't realize California has more Republicans than any other state. It has a lot of people. You're giving up the 5th largest economy. But it's getting to the point where you're right. We're going to have a coming to Jesus very soon if it's worth even doing business in California.
Wow, that's getting crazy. That is crazy.
It is. And that's what happens if the election goes the way it's going today. What if the whole country, if it goes the way I don't want it to go, what happens if California becomes America, right? That's the problem. Good news is with federalism, there will always be states like Tennessee that will exist where we can live and be happy, right? Like I love the fact that we're in a federal system where states have autonomy over the federal government. So that is why where you live matters. But yeah, it's scary that when you own a business, I've seen so many companies come and go. And dude, just like Vitamin Shop, their parent company had to file bankruptcy because American Freight isn't making money due to the inflation and macroeconomics. So you have Hooters going under. Hooters. Who would have? Titties. They took away the titties. The economy's so bad, their titties are going out of business. Hooters. I mean, Big Lots, all Big Lots shut down. You're in an economy right now where if you simply survive, you are doing something special. It is hard. It is hard out there. Like our cost of goods is the incremental cost we have. It's hard to make your margins to sustain.
Let me ask you something kind of meta as we
of course,
close to the end here. Like, or let's say like your overall message in terms of fitness and health that somebody would imbibe by if they went to tigerfitness.com.
Yeah.
What is the message that you have that's maybe not entirely unique to you, but that really is your message to the world?
Well, my message is support brands who love you, right? The parallel economy. We are, again, we embody the family business. We are just trying to do the best by people. We have the best customer service in the world. And we offer the best selection of products of things that you actually will like and will enjoy, and we'll offer you benefits at the best price we can offer you. We have a great rewards program. And again, it's about doing business with people who love you. So would you rather give your money? It's going to be about the same. And also our shipping, we have warehouses in both Las Vegas and in Ohio. So we're basically 1 to 2 days to everywhere, and it's free shipping over $99. So you're spending about the same, usually faster shipping than Amazon, because Amazon anymore is like 2 to 3 days. So you're getting better shipping. You don't have to pay a membership, and you're supporting a brand that loves you. So I always put it like this. Like one of our taglines is you're more than just a number here. To Amazon or any other company, the larger companies, you're a number. To us, you're a name. And I do my best to call as many of our customers as possible. I have a spreadsheet, and if they opt in that we can call them, I personally call them. And you're looking at thousands and thousands of customers. I've made it through, I think, like 2.2K. So I try to call like a certain number of weeks. So again, we do our best to differentiate with love and with customer service, because you can't differentiate on price and also product selection, right? We have our brands that are very, very exclusive and very unique. And also I feel superior.
Well, fair enough. So Tiger tigerfitness.com is the website.
That's me. Yep.
Yeah. I got to ask you something off the air, but I definitely am interested in what you're doing, and I'm glad that I got to know about you from Zuby, and then
Zuby's
as I
awesome.
said, when I found out that you followed me already, I thought, thank goodness, because sometimes, I make cold introductions sometimes, and I get perfect strangers to come on the show, but sometimes it's like pulling teeth, because then they want to research, is this worth my time, or they don't even bother looking into it, or a lot of times the contact page on their website goes to like some phantom box they never check, and so I was so glad to make this.
I handle all my DMs. I do all my own social media. Like, I don't want anybody else. Like, you get those weird Twitter messages where like, hey, I can handle all your messages. I'm like, no, I want to talk to people.
Right.
Like, why would you do that? That sounds weird. Like, no. In fact, I answer all my emails.
I sometimes have my assistant reach out to potential guests, but other times I write directly. And whereas sometimes people come to me and they're obviously sending 200 messages to 200 podcasters. So it's a completely impersonal email. Hello, I really enjoy the fill-in name of show. And I don't even look at it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, look, it's the world is about relationships.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
Look,
especially in this age of bots and AI and whatever, a real human being makes a difference.
Well, I'm a very polarizing person, right? I understand that, and I'm good with it. I don't mind. But the one thing you could say is, in my life of business, I don't care if you like me or hate me. Do you respect that I work hard? And have I ever screwed anybody over? And the answer to both of those are yes, I work my ass off. And no, I've never screwed anybody over. So those are things that when you're looking at your reputation, the legacy you leave behind for your children, those are the two things I'm mainly concerned about. I want to be able to look myself, and that's the reason I sleep good at night too. I go to bed knowing that I did all I could to be a good person and to contribute to society.
Yeah. Yep. And then that helps. That is a factor in your head hitting the pillow and you go right out. No regret.
I mean, it's just, for me, it's about, it's not about me at this point. It's about what can I leave behind for my children. And I'm at that age where, you're middle age. If I live to 88, that means I'm middle age right now, right? And you start to think about what you're leaving behind after your time on Earth, right? Like, you're halfway there. And that's where you start to think about legacy. And you start to think about what the next phase is and how the next generation is going to, carry on your legacy. And that's why obviously the most important thing you do is raising your children. Like, raise your children, raise them right, and lead by example. And after you have kids, if you treat every action like, is this something my kids would be proud of, that my kids would not be embarrassed of, then that will lead you to live a virtuous and great life.
I've got 5 of them, ranging in age.
5. I wish I had more.
They're all girls. They range from 10 to 21.
Yeah, I wish I had more kids. I should. My wife didn't want to have more after 3. I didn't want to have 3, and then we are a third one, and he's just awesome.
Well, we had 3 under 3 at one point. It was a challenge.
Oh, wow.
It was a challenge.
That's
but
hard.
What's great is they are absolute best of friends. And when the first one went off to school, it warmed my heart when she came back and said, I've had a chance to meet a whole lot of people, and I haven't met anybody whose company I enjoy more than that of my sisters.
Wow.
They get along so well. It's so fun to watch them interact. So it's a tremendous experience. But anyway, tigerfitness.com is where people should go. I'm so glad I got a chance to meet you, Marc, and best of luck in what you're doing.
Yeah, I'd love to be back. This is great. I appreciate what you do. I love your message. And again, I've been following you for a while, so I look forward to following you more. And thank you so much for having me on, man. I'm sorry my voice isn't 100%, but it's coming back. I promise.
Oh, but you know what? The raspy voice, I think, fits in with the persona. So don't apologize. I think
maybe I should just keep it. Just keep it like this.
Yeah, not too shabby. All right. Thanks again, Marc. I appreciate it. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Make yourself and those you love less vulnerable to the regime, both mentally and physically. Get more forbidden information at tomsfreebooks.com and be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you listen. See you next time.
Like the sound of The Tom Woods Show? My audio production is provided by Podsworth Media. Check them out at podsworth.com.